Yeah, rise and grind. Am I right? Today is the day. Daymond John's book, absolutely killer. He talks about himself. He talks about all the people he's found. He talks about all the people he's worked with. This guy literally is out there every single day, crushing it. This man literally, I think he goes on like flights after flight after flight after flight. He takes the flights, he goes to where he needs to work, he comes home, he takes the flights, he goes to where he needs to work, he comes up. This man is going hard. And in Rise and Grind, that's a really, really big theme that comes out of it, because he goes through his life, but he also goes through a lot of lives of really, really successful people like Gary Vaynerchuk, or a lot of people he's worked with individually or that have gone out there and had immense successes, like actors, high performers, entrepreneurs. They've gone and they've grown themselves to this whole nother level, this whole nother sphere of influence, where all of a sudden, instead of just being there and working those, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, they're actually such an integral part, like their business and their professional goals are such a huge integral part of their lives that they're out there crushing it every single day to work towards those. And it was so great to see that. Before I talk about Daymond, I want to talk about two of these guys he talks about. They made watches, right? And they were out there putting out the work, and they sell watches on Shopify, like e-commerce, stuff like that, and they had funded it, they'd made their projects, whole bunch of crowdfunding stuff, awesome growth, awesome story, started for nothing, they were crushing it together. But one thing that really separated them from the rest when they were working was that they actually were like, every single day, it was like 16 hours. Every day, they were going hard, 16 hours. It's not just the work, but it's like the dedication, the perseverance, and the consistency at which they contributed value to the marketplace to actually get their product out there, to get it into the hands of people they believed in and people that believed in them, because they understood that they had such a tremendously valuable product and they wanted it in more and more people's hands because they believed in it so much, more so than they were willing to sit back, not worry about it, and not let it happen, because that's not what they wanted to do. That wasn't their strategy. They were out there getting results because it mattered to them more than anything else that they'd done. And it was crazy to see that. So you see that with a lot of people, right? So Daymond, same thing. He had FUBU, right? So they make shirts, they make hats, they make clothing, right? And they were going to stores to try to get their stuff out there. And something they had to struggle with at the beginning was like, this guy literally was in a van for I don't know how long. He bought a van and he would just drive people around as a taxi driver because he was out there hustling to get it done every single day. He'd get up before anyone else. He would make shirts, he'd go out there, he'd drive his vans, he'd go out and crush it, which was awesome because now he's gonna have those higher, startup capital, but also the results to go off of that no one else in his space was doing because they weren't really there going 100,000% every single day. And that's what Daymond talks about, is how to get into that mindset, how to get into that personal success and development area where you're rising and grinding every single day and you understand exactly how to get what you want out of everything you do, which is amazing, super valuable content. And I think it goes a lot with like setting disciplined deadlines and getting up every day at the same time, go to bed at the same time, setting up that perfect day, which is super important. And that's kind of like sort of like the perfect day formula, which I guess I'll link below. I made a video about that book. Super great book to read. Also kind of correlates with this mentality. But going back to what Daymond was talking about, he started the grind early on, and he had to make it work because his mom was like basically taking out a second mortgage on their house to pay through school and to make it so that they could have focus together through high school, which was insane because the instant he's out of high school, he's going hard. And college was an option, but it also was like super tough to get, and it was really just, it didn't happen right at the beginning because he was out there rising and he was grinding, he was going so hard. And there's like work smart, work hard, but like this man was giving it everything he could, the smartest way he could. And then he started to move into this traditional, t-shirt business area where instead of just going to the store and selling stuff, he was like spray painting his logo on garage doors so that at night his logo would come out. And he was out there every day trying to sell his product, get out there and crushing it because he believed in it so much. And he had these ideas where, especially when you start lower, it's tougher to get momentum. You got to figure out creative ways to do it. And I think a really great example that he talks about, I think it's in this book, he talks about Calvin Klein and how at the beginning he was selling shoes, right? So they go to this expo, this big convention where there's a bunch of fashion people or whatever, and he really wanted to buy a booth, but like he couldn't afford it. He just didn't have the money. So he brings his truck out in front of the convention and tries to sell his shoes to people. And real quick, the people come and they flag him down and they say, hey, look, the only way you can have a truck here and sell your stuff or do whatever you want is if either you're in a construction business or you're actually making a film. So he says, well, I'm not in the construction business. So he decides to go down to the local office and register for a certificate to make a film. And so he gets there and he says, hey, look, Calvin Klein Productions, we're making a movie about the process on how to grow a shoe company, and we just need our license to film here. And he freaking gets a license to film, because you gotta understand, he had no other options. He was like there trying to get his product out there, trying to sell, trying to grind, and he just wasn't able to, the way the rules were structured, and also the barrier to entry to like actually get in the place because it was so expensive. He just couldn't really afford it. So what he did was he went there and he got his permit and he came back with a crew. And that's why the company, even now, I think they call it Calvin Klein Productions, was because of this instance where they had to actually create this entity and then hire, you know, people with cameras to come around and film them and say, hey, we're filming the making of a shoe company. And then he would sell people his shoes in front of the building because he had permission, since he had this film permit, and he had his truck out there, all his products, all his shoes, everything he was trying to sell. And the reason he was able to do that was because he got creative and he freaking made it work, which was awesome. And that mentality is something where, like, you've got to get up there, you got to go, and you got to do it, right? Originally, he was set back. He didn't have the ability to do it, but he kept out going, he kept out grinding, and because of that, he was able to succeed. There were so many people like that in this book that have gone out there and just crushed it in the marketplace, which is amazing for influence and like motivation, but at the same time, you're developing these extremely strong work ethic principles that are going to allow you to skyrocket your success, but, you know, personally, but mostly professionally, by taking you to that next level of perseverance and determination, where you understand exactly what you want to get out of the marketplace so that you can bring that to that next level, take it to the next success story, and make it happen. Isn't that cool? Isn't that awesome? I thought it was amazing. So another thing he talks about, there were these individuals, there was this one lady, and I think she's from the UK, somewhere like that, and she wanted to go up in acting, right? And she was super, super happy to go and grow herself on a professional stage, especially in New York. That was her goal, right? It was like, get out there, get in the plays, get in the films, and get herself out there, which was awesome. But at the beginning, it was super, super difficult because everyone that was around her, like, you just, especially when you have like lofty goals like that, it's tough because individuals pushed her down, they said she couldn't do it, they backed her out of it, which is really, really tough for her because, like, she had these amazing dreams and she had this vision for where her long-term goal should be. And that's like such a huge, huge part of everything you do, because that was what fueled her to get to that next level and really, really crush it, succeed in the marketplace. That's what she cared about. And that's what was important to her. So much so that she went out and decided that it was worth it for her to actually like grind every single day, hours and hours and hours of just like doing it and dancing and practicing day after day after day. And those are the mentalities and the mindsets that come with persistence and perseverance that actually brought her to success on the stage, that actually took her to that next level where she's now like a huge, huge, huge star. And the reason she's able to do that is because she went out there and just crushed it every single day. That's what matters. And the way you get to there, you way to rise and grind, which are the huge, huge mental constructs and the blocks for a lot of people that just don't go and, do it, right? And that's what Daymond comes across huge in this book, is rising and grinding. And it really does complement that other book, The Perfect Day Formula, which I'll link the video to below. But the important thing with it is getting in the mindset that you have this goal and you use that goal as a way to grow in such a fast-paced way that all of a sudden you're providing so much more financial success, personal success, development, fulfillment, growth in your life exclusively because you went out there, you did it, you kept doing it, and you crushed it. And that's huge, huge, huge for so many people. Daymond does it so well, and one other thing he talks about, and it was kind of like one of the crazier things that happened, but this book, it's not just about, grind and crush. It's also a lot about personal mindsets and mentalities, and I'm sure that came across. But something that really stood out to me was a little bit later in the book, he talks about something Gary Vaynerchuk said, and you would think Gary, he was talking to Gary, and they were asking him what some of the toughest things that he did was, especially in his sphere of influence, or every single day, what got him to that next level of success. And with daily meditation, mindfulness, reflection practices, stuff like that, especially like with daily journals, which is what I just love to do all the time, those are sort of like the basics of what he was talking about, and using those as a fundamental way to understand where you are in the marketplace, where you are in your own success, where you are on your track to get to those goals. So with that reflection, he was talking to Gary, and Gary said one of the toughest things, what he does every morning to get him into a mindset of rising and grinding and going out there every day to produce so much and bring so many results to the marketplace that he just can't help but be seen as valuable. And I think this is a good way to leave this off, because it's really like just this insane mentality that really blew my mind away and really instilled the principles for anybody looking to create wealth, create direct results in the marketplace, create change in others' lives, create an insane sphere of influence that is so great that you just can't help but be seen as this preeminent leader in the marketplace. Gary says, he gets up every morning, he does his meditation, he does his supplements, his medicine, whatever, and he visualizes someone he knows just like dying. Like his kid, his spouse, mom, just getting hit with a car by a truck and just dead. And then he spends like 5 minutes just visualizing that scene and understanding exactly how it would feel for the people closest to him in his life to just not be there. And that puts him in this state of such an immeasurably large amount of gratitude. And that gratitude is huge for reflection, but mostly for growth and appreciating what he has, because he came from this area where, he was an immigrant, his parents were, really, really struggling, and it sucked for him. And that's why he had to get out there and rise and grind. That's why he had to get out there and do it, because the biggest thing with what he was doing and how he was doing it was that he was really every single day looking for the good thing in his life. He was looking to be grateful that, wow, this person's alive today. Isn't that insane? Isn't that awesome? Isn't that fuel for me to go out today and do so much at my maximum potential that it'd be immeasurably difficult to qualify or consider any other way of doing what I love? And that's something that came from Gary. That's something that came from like pretty much everyone in Rise and Grind, was finding that one thing and then using it as a way to go and just create these insane and tremendous results in the marketplace, going out there and crushing it. Hope you guys found this valuable. I really appreciate it. So link below to the Rise and Grind book. I highly recommend it. Great read. Thanks guys. See ya. Have a good one.